And when it's pure and just that sense of presence, that's correct. But as soon as anything gets added onto it, I am a person, I am this, I am that, then it's no longer clean. Then it's attached to the dream, to something that is very, very limited.
Welcome back to the Consciousness of the Way. I've been looking forward to this conversation. This incredible being holds a resonance that creates a moth to a flame for me. I enjoy the potential of what is going to be integrated into this conversation today. I'm very grateful for his presence. I would like to welcome Ananta. Now, did I pronounce that incorrectly?
Ananta.
Yeah, Ananta. Welcome to the podcast, my dear friend.
Thank you so much.
And, you know, other than the fact that you just bliss people out with the very presence of your, some people might call it an avatar, but you are holding a position that people can feel as complete, as whole, warming and opening their heart. So I would love you to just share a little bit about yourself and how we got here today.
Well, originally I thought I might go into psychology because I thought psychology should teach you how to live. But I was wrong. As I got my bachelor's degree, I realized that's not what it was teaching. And fortunately, during my time in college, I had met Baba Muktananda, and I felt a very strong connection with him. And he was teaching one how to live, how to be in this world. And so I ditched my plans to get a master's and a doctorate in psychology and went to India instead to be with Baba. And it's a hard school, you see, because when I lived in the ashram, what we used to say is learn as you burn. You see, this idea that we have of ourselves, this needs to burn away. And the ashram was a good setting for me in the beginning to learn how to exist separate from my concept of myself as a person. You see, and it took a long time. It took a good 20 years altogether with Baba and with, after he passed, with Ramesh Balsekar. And his guru was Nisargadatta Maharaj, who wrote, I Am That, very much in line with Ramana Maharshi. And also I spent time with a great being, Sri Gajanan Maharaj. And really, with him, he was such a great being that he didn't have to teach. It was all in silence, really. It was just being in that presence, you see. Anyway, I enjoyed that search. I really did. And then there came a time where everything just kind of, the seeking, I came to a point where I had been spending so many years with it. And I would come home from India and I would make some money so I could go back to India. And I would be working very hard. I had a great job, made a lot of money fast. And as I was working, I would be forgetting. I would be forgetting all these great teachings. And I would turn to my friends. I go, I need to go back to India and get a booster shot. And so this went on for decades. And then there came a point where I just made this solemn commitment not to forget. And it what happened was everything revolved around this remembering who I am. Now, this is a difficult thing to explain because that which you are is not something that's here in your mind. That which you are is much deeper than that. So there's this sense of you as a person doing this and doing that, thinking this and thinking that goes on. And then there's this sense that is prior to that. So the way that that Ramesh's guru talked about it is there is this sense of I am. And when it's pure and just that sense of presence, that's correct. But as soon as anything gets added onto it, I am a person, I am this, I am that, then it's no longer clean. Then it's attached to the dream, to something that is very, very limited. So, but that essence that you are, you see, the thing about it is we're all the same. We appear to be different. We have different opinions. We have different looks, etc. These are all superficial things. They don't last long. At the most, they last as long as a body. But the essence of what we are, that's timeless. That's eternal. And it's exactly the same in everyone. You see? So what happens is when you fall into that sense of being, then all of this that goes on no longer has the gravity of attachment, the gravity of identification. You don't think of that as you. There is this body. There are these thoughts, but they're not my thoughts. They're just thoughts. And it's just a body. Bodies, thoughts, feelings, all these things come and go. But you don't. You're eternal. And we all are, 100%. Now, Baba Muktananda, he put it very simply. God dwells within you as you. So, he didn't say a little more in this one, a little less in that one. You especially. No. God dwells within you as you. It's universal. 100%. He greeted everyone the same. And he made a big point of this. He made a big point of darshan and greeting each and every person. And he did that every day. And just infused that. So you see with Baba, when I used to come up, I would, everyone went up. There were so many people with Baba that there would be 5 people all lined up, and there'd be 5 lines coming up to Baba. And everyone bowed down, and he'd tap each person with the peacock feathers and just have that millisecond with each person. It was very important to him to have that connection. Now, when I went to Baba, as soon as I got within 50 feet, the mind just stopped. There was just this stillness. So if I had a question for Baba, forget it. As soon as I got there, I couldn't think of anything. That went on. But one time I went up in the line, in the darshan line, and in Baba's ashram, the women sat on one side and the men sat on the other side. Well, I just happened to be in the line that was on the women's side. And, those girls were looking pretty good that day. And, I was thinking about all kinds of things that might not seem appropriate before meeting your guru. And then what happened was spontaneously, I just thought to myself, well, that's not me anyway. And I had forgotten all about it. I go down, I bow down to Baba, and he gets out of his chair with the peacock feathers, and he just goes, yes, yes, yes. So you see, that's the thing. You go through your life, you do this, you do that, and you think that's you. And we came by this quite innocently, but everyone thinks they're doing it, they're saying it, they're thinking it. They think that it's personal, it's their thoughts, you see, but it has nothing to do with you. It's just a body mind. And the mind is necessary to keep the body functioning through this illusion, through this dream, so that it doesn't just walk into walls or, accidentally fall off cliffs and stuff like that. So the mind is an appropriate tool to keep the body safe. There's no need for you to fall into identification with thoughts and feelings. And there's tremendous side effects from this. When you identify with your thoughts and feelings, then you have all kinds of things to feel guilty about, shameful about. There's pride. All of these things come in through identification. And since they're powerful emotions, then it starts to really feel real. You see, that adds to this illusion of realness in what is essentially a dream. So this is just a dream state that is going on right now. And the realness you won't be able to find when you're looking through your mind, because the mind is the virtual reality machine. That's what keeps it seeming real. That's what keeps it as a story. The mind loves stories, follows the stories. You go to the movies, you sit in the chair, you abandon that sense that this is not real. You pretend that what's going on the screen, all those colors and sounds are real. And then you enjoy the story because the mind loves stories. The mind loves the story of your life, the life of the body. But you see, that's not your life. That's just the life of a body. However, we come by this innocently because as children, our parents taught us how to pretend to be a person. And as children, we had such powerful imagination, and that when you imagine something long enough and strong enough, it just becomes real for you. Just like in a movie and in this life, and then you have all these things that make it powerful to you. But that's not what's going on here. That's just a dream. The essence that you are, the essence that we all are, that God dwells within you, that presence that is always here and always equal, that is where you want to be looking. And the mind needs to slow down, just be still for a while. When the mind is still, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And you know it not from here, you just know it. So like I saw this thing just recently, a YouTube short, Carl Jung, and someone asked him, do you believe in God? And he said, well, that's an interesting question. I know. So I have no reason to believe because I know. You see? So it's that place where you know that there is an essence that never changes, that is with you always. So, oh,
It's interesting. Excuse me. You know, as an iteration of my Taoist sort of avatar over many thousands of lifetimes, it's the same emanation that occurs for self-realization from a Taoist path perspective.
mhm.
You know, you seek, and from a seeker to a knower requires a path of sort of self-realization. From the spark of divinity, we take that ignition and then we enter into inquiry. Inquiry then blossoms into contemplation. Contemplation then massages curiosity. Curiosity then in turn nurtures belief systems. And then the belief system, of course, is where you meet the crossroads, the rubber meets the road, because you're an experiencer by nature. That's part of the creative craft of a human being, is to create something. Whatever that may be will be determinative by the measured states of self-realized something or nothing. Yet from seeker to knower is just all layered with crumbs of experiences that will be determinative by you. So if your glass is half empty, it's going to stay that way impermanently or permanently, or this two are the same, because that's the paradox of what we have discovered as a Taoist within this sort of sense of reality. Because I agree with you, you can imagine it as a virtual. And in turn, we look at reality in the lens of what we call the Great Bellows. So the Great Bellows is you're contracting and expanding at the same time. You're all things and nothing at the same time. And if I had a penny for every time a student would say, "But Jufu, what does that mean?" That my head's going to explode. Well, this is feeling that essence, because we refer to the ignition of spirit, or we refer to it as Shen, when attention and intention meet. And when attention and intention meet, you remember your eternal, immortal, forever self, and your spirit becomes present within what we call the material. This is a low frequential resonance. So this material can be altered. You can alter it with your attention, intention. But of course, to get that Shazam moment, referring to all things ancient, you need to be able to let go, as my youngest daughter would say, referencing Frozen. Let it go, let it go. If you can't let go of, as you said, what would be a very limited example of the finite mind, or an expression of intellect, is personality, identity, all these types of good things. But most people are like, well, I found myself. I mean, I find a lot of students that come to me, they're like, I'm Brahman, I'm cosmic consciousness, I'm all these fantastic things. I'm like, that's incredible. Why are you here? Because I lost my superpowers. The second I found that it started to diminish and disappear, and the longer I attempted to hold this resonance of identity, it was as if Superman was holding kryptonite. And I'm like, that's very interesting. And it really, in an alchemical perspective, because I mean, we are all eternal immortals having a human being experience. The purpose of being here is subject to your own self-realization, in my opinion. I mean, you're given the flesh, you're given the avatar, you're given planet Earth, you're given this journey, and people are so quick to want to exit this one to the left. Let's go out the back way out in the street. We need to get out of here quickly. And to me, that is part of the beauty of the humanists. Is from the human condition, you be your Sherlock to your Watson, go through the labyrinth of the mind to realize that at the other end is your human beingness as whole, remembering sentience, remembering your empathy, that superpower as a human being that can be inclusive, not exclusive or basically a divergent moment where everyone just dissipates like little things into the night, not ever finding that one center point that we are all one, or one is all. And so when I hear this incredible teaching, and it comes from this amazing being such as yourself, which humility would tell you, oh, stop it, don't be ridiculous, it's just now. Absolutely. But you are holding that resonance, and that's something that we look at, because energy is the currency that we play in this material state. And that's why Daoist alchemy is so appealing to most people, because you sink your teeth into something. It's substantive. It's something that you can get sense. Not all of us can travel to India. Quite frankly, that would be the ultimate goal for me, to travel every part of the world. I've been to many places in the East, specifically from my own training within China for my ordinances, two lineages of Taoism. I was ordained in 2 lineages of Taoism. That was exciting. But the truth is, my true teacher, Lao Tzu, that I channeled 36 years ago, still to this day, and I'm not delusional. I can see him sitting here in the room as tangible as I see you, and hear him as clear as I hear you, that this is a form of what we call within Taoism the dialogue to the monologue, where he's an expression of our true self, which as our primordial mother is the animation to all things. When you return to that center, you find that you need nothing but this present moment, and it doesn't require your participation, which is the fun part. I love the way you say that, because everyone has it. Some people love hearing the way I express it, and some people like, my head's going to explode. And then the way that you share this gift is so smooth and silky smooth that it enters very easily. And that's the purpose of our conversation. The purpose of your expression is to be able to reignite or reunite. Reunited, and it feels so good. We're reuniting that present moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ramesh always said, the teaching is passed in silence. And yet he talked and talked and talked.
Exactly.
But you see, what it is, the words and the concepts, the best scenario is they point you in the right direction. Okay? But it's not in the words, it's not in the concepts. Because the truth is, everything is true and not true at the same time. Everything is and isn't at the same time. And that's the thing that you say, make your head explode. This is why it's not really for the mind, you see, because it goes beyond the boundaries of thought. Thought is constrictive, and what you are is not. So it's okay. We use the words, we use the concepts, and you apply them, and hopefully they point you in the right direction. In the Vedas, they say you take a thorn to remove a thorn, but then you throw them both away. So I got all these great concepts from Ramesh and from Baba, and I used them. I don't need them anymore, but still I pass them on to you the same as they pass them on to me, and maybe they point you in the right direction. You get lucky.
Well, yeah, I mean, what is lucky, right? We refer to it within Taoism. If you're thinking, you're not knowing, if you're knowing, you're feeling. So that whole barometer, this avatar, is like a tuning fork. It's a barometer to your reality. You're able to express and feel things. When people teach astral projection and things of that nature, and out of body or whatever you want to call it, playing with the ether, we refer to it as the substance. This all starts to make sense for people, because before that, it was just a psychological delusion, and they could never ground themselves to any place that could keep them whole. That wholeness was never derived from, a lens of thought of mind, body, spirit, because the mind, body, spirit is a concept that literally tears you apart from your true self. And when you find it, it's of no more, it has zero value, just as you had just inferred before, because nothing has any permanence. Everything is impermanent because it's the material state. So, you may have some, we call this metaphysical Tao, where we're giving people the understanding to forget, and by forgetting is to remember. And so, starting with understanding the material state that seems so tangible is intangible, yet it's the lowest iteration. It's an expression, because of the currency of energy, which is what this realm is made up of, dimension, whatever you want to call it. We just call it a frequency. You have to be able to play with that, to not play with it, to play with it again. This is what we call wu-wei, effortless action, effortless effort. And that's, to discover that is like your mission, if you choose to accept it, Ethan Hunt, is to find that center point, that Vesica point, that unification of all things. Because as you mentioned, it's very reminiscent of a Daoist understanding, is everything is, you are all things and nothing at the same time. And when people give me that, I'm like, oh, are you sure you weren't a Daoist in a past life? And they're like, oh my goodness, wow. That really brings things home, because it's like an undulating flame. You're just reaching for it. It's elusive. It will disappear and it will reappear forever. And that is, in the Taoist perspective, Shen, what we call spirit. And that only occurs when you're on your path of self-realization to whatever you consider wholeness. And wholeness cannot be acquired or limited to. The human beingness is an experience that we have to make sense. The method to the madness is why we have alchemy. And that alchemy makes it a soft kiss from the mother to your forehead and back again into the heart, emanating roses of time and space, petals that fall to the ground and caress Mother Earth and then return back into the self. That heart is forever, forever. That feeling that you and I have as we are speaking those words that are not really that important, yet they're vehicles of self-realized knowing. It caresses and warms you and feels so maternal, because it is. Nothing more is as important as the now moment. And I think you and I sharing the remembrance component for me, it's been 36 years I've been teaching this stuff, that most people now, they use it like a throwaway Hallmark card. I know when you're teaching it or sharing it, let's just say sharing. The student is the teacher is the student. There's nothing more exciting to me than just witnessing a revelation, sort of an epiphany moment for anybody to go, oh my goodness, it's here. It's there. It's nowhere. Holy moly. Or you just refer to it within Taoism as, let the man who has never left the village, let him know he has seen the world. And that would be going nowhere. It's just like going to India or going to China. They're awesome events, yet at some point you remember, I didn't have to leave home to experience any of these things, yet it was a part of the path of self-remembrance. So it's like I sometimes spend a moment and go, just be with this present moment. As you pause between the breath in and the breath out, reveals the primordial mother. That's the gateway.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's the journey, and it's destined. So when you have that sense that you must know who you are. When that's strong within you, there can be a journey. It also can be that someone just gets it. Yeah.
That's,
But in
amen to
my case, there was a journey. And really, you see, everyone's born with it. Before there were any thoughts that you could really grasp, there was this sense of being. Babies, you can feel it with them. They're so pure. There's just this sense of being, of presence. And then there's this adjustment to the body and the sensations, etc. But there is this basic sense of being, what can be said as that sense of I am, you see, and
this
it's
is
pure.
interesting. I actually want to talk to you about that. So many people refer to that as from the Bible. I am the I am.
I am that I am. Yes, I've heard
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Mhm.
I've never really grasped that being a fanboy of one past self-realized, even though I enjoy and dance in the blissful fields of possibilities through any belief system. None is met with my discontent. All is received as one. Yet the I am that I am that I am, he kind of refers to something. Now, when to ascend and transcend a Taoist knowing from what we refer to the primordial mother, that would start and end with the animation to all things, the creation. So we refer to that within our Taoist metaphysics as the animation to all things is the void, the mother. That animates consciousness. Consciousness animates the spirit. Spirit animates the energy. Energy animates the body, which is really a distorted frequency or resonance that is part of that energy potential. Yet most people play with the body and the energy and never, because I mean, once mastered, energy potential is exciting but transitory, impermanent, and will ultimately deconstruct and perish as everything does. It returns back to the same place it came from, which is creation, completion, and rebirth, which is a Taoist understanding of the contracting and expanding. So when you look at it like that, I've never witnessed, and in 36 years, I've witnessed thousands of physical healings, mental, emotional, spiritual things in this space that I could write a book on it for years on end. And quite frankly, when you see stuff like that and you bear witness to it as an observer, this is part of the potency of what could be or what is, and what is nothing at the same time is that potential. So watching flesh meld is really more my re-up or my request, like Oliver Twist. You want more, boy? Oh, yes. Yes, sir. May I have another? Yes. And that's my childlike state as I was a young boy looking through walls and people's bodies. And I nurtured that imagination from the age of 4, and it never left me. And it basically transmuted into alchemical process and teaching people alchemy and how exciting it is. Yet when you capture energy and you manipulate it, that is an impermanent thing. If you stay there, you never ever continue to remember. You just become stagnated, where people become qigong masters, healers, psychics, blah blah blah, whatever. It's exciting, yet it's not who you are. And that remembrance requires a continual path of expansion, in my opinion. And so when you remember, the answer is this: you're selfless and in servitude. And people don't have to fight that. It's like, I can't fight it. It's within me. It's like you having a conversation with yourself. I need that piece of chocolate cake. I got to eat it. I can't stop it. And you turn around, the cake is gone. Oh my goodness, I did it again. Yet the true self is selfless and in servitude. What are your thoughts on that?
It's all too much within the realm of doership. you see, and which is the dream. Instead of thinking who you are, it's what you are. There's no you in it, you see. The dream is you. Even the higher spiritual dream is with you in it, is still you. It's still a dream. That which you are is not a person. It's not a thing. It's not a this and that. This world is just full of, because you perceive it through your mind, the mind perceives this and that. The mind is not designed to perceive oneness, because within oneness, there's nothing to perceive. So there's this sense of always going after something, always trying to go somewhere. You see, there's nowhere to go. That which you are, you have always been. That you've forgotten it for a short lifetime, it doesn't matter. You are still what you've always been. So we're talking about something that requires no effort, none at all. And the moment a drop of effort goes into it, you're going the wrong way. You're going back to doing something, to being something. That which you are is everything. Everything doesn't have to be itself, because it's everything. It doesn't make sense for it to be anything. So you see, everything is nothing. It's nothing at all. There's nothing to go after, because there's nothing there, because it's everything. So you see, the mind is not designed to perceive everything. It's designed to perceive this and that. Or in Taoism, they say the 20,000 things, isn't it?
Well, some script that's translated might say 10. I refer to it as
10,000, is it? I got the number wrong.
yeah, I refer to it as 9, and with my own dialogue with a monologue, which is basically transcribing from Lao Tzu. It's 9,000 things.
Okay.
1 to the 2, 2 to the 3, 3 to 9,000 things.
Oh.
It's just an iteration of another version of the same.
Yeah.
You know, I agree with you on that, because it's quite simple. You're all things and nothing at the same time.
Exactly.
Paradox.
Exactly. It's not something for the mind.
Well,
But
that's where the feeling comes in.
You know it. And then all of these concepts don't mean anything. So
The true self is the now.
Sure. True.
Well, but the purpose of that is that there's a path to witness, to dissolve, to return to nothing, requires some mechanism. And the only reason I even gave it foundation was I experienced that, all of it, in 7 days, 36 years ago. From never meditating, stopping time, to witnessing a physical healing where gangrenous flesh went back to pink in color in 40 minutes, to experiencing channeling. Never channeled before in my life. I was a Neanderthal, a bodybuilder, a powerlifter, walking into what I thought was a dismissive a practice with a bunch of Hare Krishnas. I'm like, what am I going to do? That's like putting the brakes on at 100 miles an hour and turning in the opposite direction. Yet I found myself again instantly. And so, you know, you have your own, by design, create something to nothing and back again, which will refer to creation, completion, and then rebirth. This is taking place all the time. Now, you can stay in the middle, or you can stay at the end, where the number 9 is the highest point, which is completion, which completed would be, in essence, sort of putting up your shingle, your hat, and realizing that you are nothing. No?
Well, okay. You see, it's all within the realm of a person. experiencing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the deal. There's right now, let's just say, there's a vat of gold and everything just merges into it as one.
Mm-hmm.
In the distance, there's some static going on. And that's two people talking. And there's these different words going on, and different people listening, and different people getting ideas of different things. But that is so distant and so minor because there's this vat of gold and everything melting within it. Anything that gets near it just melts within it. And it all unifies as one. And that's what's really going on. So the world goes on in the distance. All the talking, like right now, all of the talking is going on. All of the people that are listening are listening. All of the ideas and all of the concepts, yes, they go on, but they're nothing. They're minor static in the background. What is in the foreground is that complete oneness, which I have described as a vat of gold today, but no description can apply. It's just this sense of oneness. And all of this, the life goes on. The life goes on. I get up in the morning, I have a shower, I do my chores, I take care of what I need to take care of. This and that happens, blah, 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 blah. But it's not anything. It's not major. The only thing that's really going on here is this complete unicity of everything. And the rest of this stuff is just, it's just distant stuff going on. It's just like if you had the TV going on and every now and then you paid attention, you saw, oh, this show, that was going on, this going on. You followed it a little bit, whatever. It's just going on in the distance. It's not what's actually happening. It's just a show that's going on. All there is right now is this oneness, that sense of unicity that cannot be described correctly, cannot really be put into words, but it can be known in the heart. That God dwells within you, that thing that is infinite, that is indescribable, but is everything. It's so great. It's so great that nothing, a mind couldn't possibly touch it. But you see, the mind is quiet except when it's needed. When it's needed for navigating this world, fine, it goes and takes care of whatever. But that's not what's going on ever. It never was. And there used to be an identification. Oh, these are my thoughts. Oh, I'm doing this. That's gone. No one's doing it. It's just happening. So you see, the side effects aren't there. No one feels guilty. No one feels shame. No one feels pride. This stuff just goes on. The life just goes on. The seeking is done. No one is seeking anymore. There's just the sense of being that basically it's just when this happened, I just said, well, I'm at peace with myself. You see? It wasn't what I expected. I was seeking something much greater than that. In my mind, it was going to be like fantastic fireworks and unbelievable. It was much more peaceful than that and much more matter of fact. Just of course, it's effortless, and it's so that's all. It's a very, 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 very simple thing. It's so simple that you can't do it.
Well, the simplicity, I mean, you're making a very good point. Just as you gravitated to your guru in India, what was the transmission? It was a resonance. As you walked upon his emanation within 50 feet through your own admission, your mind became blank. Now, the stillness is an interpreted sort of delusional state of humanness, in my opinion. I mean, it doesn't require your participation, which is where people go, what the you talking about? Well, that's the very person that you are. And your need for your participation is not required. So that pulse, and this is how we refer to it, this is how it turns back into nothing, is magnetic. That magnetism is the mother, which is the void. The only reason you'll see light is because the mother inhales. And that inhalation is creation. Furthermore, back to the breath, something to nothing. Wholeness is darkness, is purity, is magnetic, which then turns into nothing once again and something. And we repeat the creation to completion to rebirth cycle. And of course, this is all part of remembering that the now moment is really all you have, which is I was never in a place of identity. This is the part where people will make sense of this, like sharing the nothing and the paradox, which you're explaining right now with such eloquence and beauty. It refers to also identity, which then would then limit. So evidence to have no evidence is really the true state of now, because the seeker will be the same. As you said, you kept seeking till there was no more seeking to do. The stillness, I think, is like a hallmark definition in the almanac of spiritual possibility that can be distorted, which is what the mind, as you said, the mind obtains this need for incessant introspective analytical identity, which is not why, that's why we refer to the feeling that the energy potential, even though that's what you're identifying with, ultimately returns to nothing. But you have the ability to be that breath and that now moment. And so whenever I experience any of these mystical, magical, supernatural, paranormal things, I'm of no state, and I'm contracting and expanding. So whether it's witnessing someone return to their body or anything that is related to an expansive state where maybe I'd have 1,000 people and I'd do a mental, emotional, physical, spiritual healing. Everyone's coming to the same point. They want to be whole. Wholeness doesn't require anything, nor does it need to look any further than right here. Yet there's a method, a building block. I didn't have that 36 years ago. It was all handed to me. And so I used methods to understand what it was so I could teach others to return to nothing. That's how it works. Or does it? Or does it not? I mean, this is the paradox. When people listen to us, depending upon their level of development or whether they've watched enough of Oprah, that you might find yourself, a most hilarious moment in history for me is her interviewing Deepak Chopra back in the 80s. And she's like, "Oh, welcome back. So great to be here. Deepak, I want to welcome to my podcast. Oh, not my podcast, my talk show." And he's sitting there in the lotus position on the chair. And she's like, "So how are you?" And he goes, "Well, I am not here, but my body is." And we'll be right back after this commercial break. It's really great to see you because, again, you're capturing something that, of course, today most, self-proclaimed, oneness propagators of singular state of awareness. We are all one. We are one. We are all. We are nothing. Is conceptual for most people, and that's where the experience of that iteration is so important, because then you can, as you said, as we're both repeating, the feeling is all you have, because that feeling is actually really powerful. When you enter it, it's like a magnetic electric potential. When you enter the center point of that, that's when you return to what you would refer to as the stillness. For a Daoist, that's the mother. That's what we call the Wu Ji. And that means that you have the ability to have not to enter action and inaction, wu wei. All of a sudden, everything is serendipitous, synchronistic. It just happens as it should, because you don't have to do anything. Your participation is not required. But, Deepak mentioning that type of stuff 40 years ago to a bunch of dysfunctional housewives today, even speaking like that, I think it's more people that are conceptualizing, and they haven't been able to truly find that center point. And that's for a human to return to a state of being, which is again an identified state. Ultimately, you must be able to experience something to return to nothing. And I think that's where a lot of practice is. Contemplation is a beautiful place, yet that contemplation can never serve a bleeding heart, a seeker that wants to be a knower to return to a nothing her or nothing. And I think that's where a lot of people get caught up, because virtue signaling 101 is very much that, where people just go, I am the I am. I'm like, that's cool. What exactly does that mean to you? It's just the now moment. It's just being still. It's stillness. I'm like, okay. And it's just being still. Okay. How does it translate into what is happening? Nothing. Okay, great. So sit there like sitting on the dock of the bay. And you can be the observer of the observer. And that's true state of knowing, to nothing, to something, to everything. Yet there's a path. And I found that to arrive requires no participation, no intellect, no introspective personality, identity, whatever. Yet you get there from that feeling. And that feeling becomes the knowing. As you said, you just know. You know nothing. As one of my teachers, Sir J. Damper, would say, when you accept you know nothing, you know everything. In turn, the same thing. And so many people would be looking at this conversation going, my brain is hurting right now.
The what?
My brain is hurting right now. They look at the conversation and go, I'm really hurting right now. Please help me. I'm begging for mercy.
Well, maybe stop using your brain. It won't hurt so much.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. It is. It's you have arrived to nothing. I've arrived to nowhere. Hang on. I traveled for years to get to a place that I never left. You're down the path of the yellow brick road looking for the Wizard of Oz. And when the veil is taken back, the wizard was nothing more than a little tiny man that you thought was godlike and so stoic and expansive. Yet it was just you, that mirror. Look back at yourself. The man to the boy, to the child, to the baby, to the nothing.
It's all a part of the dream, you see. So like last night, let's imagine you had a dream and you traveled to another planet and there were these aliens there and they had all these magical powers and they did all kinds of things. And it was such a fascinating dream. And then you woke up and you never left the bed. You never went anywhere.
I'm doing that right now.
Nothing ever happened. So this life is just a longer dream. And you're dreaming that you did this and that, and that you learned this and that, and you studied with this teacher, and you went here and you went there. When you wake up, you'll realize you never left the bed. You never went anywhere. Nothing ever happened. So all we're talking about is, Nisargadatta put it very well. He said, what were you before you were born? What will you be after you die? And what makes you think you're any different now? all that's happened is the mind has caused you to forget. It has hypnotized you and brought you into this world of doings and happenings. It's just a dream world. And you've forgotten. But it's not hard to remember. It's effortless, because that which you were before you were born is with you now. It can never leave. You've just forgotten. You've been distracted. That's all.
which is the now moment. Or furthermore, we refer to it as
you can call it that, and that certainly points you in the right direction. But understand, now is a moment. So that ain't it, because it's constricted still. But it points you in the right direction, and it'll come when it comes. The beauty of it is that no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you succeed or fail, doesn't really matter, because you're still exactly what you are. Whether you realize it or not, it doesn't change a thing. You are still that which you are. So you can rest in that peace and stop struggling so hard to find it, because it's already there. Let it find you.
Well, that would refer to nothing.
Sure.
I mean, you speak on God. So God is not it. So, I mean, this is the very fundamental. God to a Daoist is the primordial mother. It's the pulse.
They're just words and concepts. And what I'm talking about falls outside of that realm of words and concepts. But you can use words and concepts to point you in the right direction. You can use certain concepts to remove the thorn of false identification.
But when you are a knower, you just know. So if you know, that means that's from the mind. So if I just know, it's from the mind. But the mind itself is a tool that you can contort and create something from nothing and nothing from something, which returns to you are nothing and you are all things and nothing at the same time. Which that mastery is why we refer to alchemy, to decipher your own reality, because that fluidity, that eternal, immortal, forever self never leaves you. I think we're getting different terminology, but the same message, because the path is clear. From a metaphysical perspective, the reason I use it is because someone wants to make sense to make no sense. And so if you understand that you are constant, that you are everything, you are nothing, and that now moment, as you put it, would be a contraction, it all comes down to the proof in the pudding. Evidence is what returns you to no evidence, meaning you have that feeling, which through your own admission you shared with me, it's still a feeling, that sense, you put it, that sense of knowing that I am here, that I am nothing. It's just, it doesn't require thought. But that nothing still makes people contorted in their mind to go, well, I am not thinking, but I'm feeling, which refers to what I said earlier. If you're thinking, you're not knowing. If you're knowing, you're feeling. That then refers back to the iteration of energy to no energy to energy to spirit to consciousness to all things, which refers within a Daoist path as animation. It's just everything. The mother, the darkness. It's darkness, which may be ominous and malevolent to someone that has contorted it within their identity. But the truth is, that is the fabric of reality for a Taoist path of knowing thyself, that returns to the I am, whatever you want to call yourself, nothing, or the now moment, which is the breath. And I think that's where I'm imagining people that find you have complete understanding of this message, as do all my students. Yet the reason experience has some validity is because I can very clearly identify thousands of events for me to come to the realization of serendipitous moments, which doesn't require my personality. It doesn't require anything. As you said, a different version of what you said, which was like, you don't have to, you're always a constant. No participation is necessary. Yet when we refer to that, we're saying you are. So again, how do you take it to the next level of nothing and all things without using words to describe something, to decipher nothing and return to it all?
They're just words.
Mm-hmm.
As words, they, at the very best, they can point you in the right direction. But as words, they're not correct. That which is beyond words. This knowing, Ramesh used to describe it as an intuitive knowing. And in that way, it's something that comes from outside. It's not from you. It's an intuitive knowing. And it's important to recognize when you're in the mess, to catch the ego and to see how the ego works. The ego, at least, can know itself. And that would be a good thing.
Well,
So,
yeah. When you say that it just works, it's still a sense. It's a feeling that refers to identity. Because now you're like to
I
truly.
told you, they're words. They're not correct. They're words.
So what does your teacher say? So how does your teacher define it then?
It's hard to say.
Because I mentioned, you have mentioned God, you have mentioned the sense, you have mentioned the knowing that turns to no knowing. It's not required.
That which is beyond words. So, like, I would go to Ramesh, and I had him just to myself, and we would talk for hours, all afternoon, have dinner in the evening, and then go every single day. And this sponge was full.
Mm-hmm.
I could not take any more concepts. It was full. So then I went to see Sri Gajanan Maharaj. He had a little ashram in the middle of nowhere in Calcutta. And he didn't really give talks. I think he gave like one a year, and I read a transcript and I couldn't make heads or tails out of it. Didn't mean anything to me. But he was that presence. So in other words,
resonance.
He was that what I just said, he was a bundle of love.
Mm-hmm.
You see? And it was like you could just, he was the living expression of that oneness. He didn't need words. He didn't need a teaching. He had a teaching, a basic teaching about Agnihotra, fire ritual done at sunrise and sunset for
Mm-hmm.
purification of the atmosphere and the mind. It is ancient teaching that he passed on. But my attraction was just to be in that presence. That's all he was a bundle of love. No one was home. And so you could just feel it. It was there. And no words were given to it.
Well,
None were needed.
You're saying feeling and love, which for a Taoist is a subjective sort of state.
That was my experience of it then.
Right.
You understand? He's here right now.
Of course.
All of my teachers are here right now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no need for any words except that the words keep the mind in alignment so that it can happen. If it's the destiny for this understanding to happen, just being in the presence. So you see, those words are not what it really is. They're the static all this talk is the static in the background. There is a pot of gold, just that everything goes into and merges into as one. The words are just keeping the bodies and minds here so that that pot of gold can be known. Not known by you, just known, because that which you are, you have always been, and nothing can change that. Nothing can make it less, nothing can make it more. It's not like enlightenment makes it more, it's still what it is.
But that's still a proclamation, right? You were saying nothing can change it. You are what you are, nothing less, nothing more. That's words determining someone's ability to emanate. So when you give someone a definition like that, they assume they have a preloaded expression or an expectation that will determine their outcome. And I think that the only reason that I was able to experience or have experienced and continue to experience what I experienced in this material state is because my true explanation is quite simple. Be childlike in your nature and accept everything at face value. And that by that, you will constantly experience. The old expression, I'll try anything once. That means I don't have a foundational limitation of anything from a humanistic perspective to a meet thy maker, no place, no person, no thing. But you're using words that craft someone's determinative outcome because now their expectation is this, which then goes back to the words again. And of course, love, because what I refer to as resonance is what you're referring to as, I don't know, I was just in the presence of this profound love or whatever he was putting out, which he didn't speak, yet that's where the crafting of alchemy comes in. You take the energy potential that's vibratory, frequential, and resonant, and you hold that resonance. That's in my interpretation, what you're experiencing with your guru, your teacher, is a resonance that does not require any participation from anyone. It's a feeling. But then again, we're getting right back to the crafted feelings are words. The melding pot of gold, as you put it, would be my interpretation or what we know to be the primordial mother, the void, the wholeness. And wholeness in definition would put a guardrail on what things are. But without it, to find that stillness that you speak of, I mean, that stillness, again, I think is interpretive. And people look for that stillness and they could forever contorted in their mind to find it, and they never find it, yet the feeling doesn't require thoughts. And so we go on and we go on and we go on until we have determined what is the true nature of reality, or what is the true nature of the reality. The absolute is nothing more than your truth, whatever that might be. I don't know. Well, it really comes back because I get those hard questions. It's not when I speak, it's not about an absolute, because someone will ask me, well, you're talking out two sides of your mouth, bro. You're saying one thing, yet you're doing another, but it's still descriptive. Yeah, and that's where when I do healings or I share Lao Tzu's transmission, I'm as dumb as rocks. I'm the avatar, the catalyst, a conduit to human information. And it never surprises me when I bear witness as an observer from first person, third person, and no person through that emanated transmission of wisdom is just mind-blowing to me, because he will constantly reshape. And it's that rhapsody, that poetic vehicle of words that meld into someone's state of mind and return it to the hot butter on a frying pan that dissolves back into that delicious meal you're about to cook from that undulating, hot, beautiful flame that represents so many things, that evokes the spirit. It just is a transmission. Like when you speak, I mean, I'm no spring chicken. I can feel everything. I experienced your energy before you came on. I don't invite people to have these conversations because I look like Brad Pitt and I'm fundamentally just a body double for the ultimate emanated version of perfection. It's because of your resonance. I refer to it as your reputation precedes you. Your resonance precedes you. And that's the whole potency of it, because anyone that is within the path of the teaching that I share with people to return to their own self, as you are the teacher, the student, the ongoing, whatever identity, you feel this. They're going to feel what you're putting out. All your words mean nothing, and my words mean nothing, but they feel it. All my students watch and listen to these podcasts because they've got the feeling, and that feeling, again with words, is still identifying what they're experiencing as their now moment that should be returned to nothing, and the pot of gold. But the pot of gold is still describing how we're melding together as one. So it's kind of like an oxymoron. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, where does it end?
In silence.
I love that, because that joy, that shit-eating grin that both of us have, that is so infectious because you fall into it, the bliss that you emanate may hide the pain that you've fought and is dissolved within your path. But the truth is, that is your true. That's etched into this thing you call the avatar, your face. And that's part of Face Reading 101 from a Daoist. But furthermore, I don't need that to read the very physical, emotional, energetic, spiritual state of anybody. Yet it's always a fun way to start on that crumbs from Sherlock to the Watson, to find thyself through it. And your resonance precedes you. I mean, I was a fan before we met within the interweb of the social sphere. But that's part of knowing thyself to return to nothing, is just the now moment and feeling that. And I mean, again, it just sounds insane at a certain point. I'm like standing back listening to this going, it's always going to sound insane until you actually find that way. Oh, that's right. What is this? The way 126. Find the way, your way. As Frankie would say, I did it my way. Or no way. And that's where the transmission comes in, right? I reverberate, I oscillate, I get high as AF, experiencing the energy potential. And this is what we call, within all intensive purposes, the unification of biofields. So furthermore, you are me, I am you. What are you afraid of? Nothing, just now. Or to my parapsychologist friends, because they need identity, is what we call psychokinesis. And I mean, I love teaching the party tricks, psycho, pyrokinesis, telekinesis, clairvoyance, mediumship, blah, 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 channeling. It's all the same. The sensory perception. But that, what is now, is what everyone's coming for. That's where they got the popcorn and the tickets. They're sitting down and the lights go down and the screen comes up, the silver screen. And all of a sudden everything is clear. It's a feeling. I love the way you said hypnotize, because I think a lot of people experience that. And they contort it as an enlightening state of awareness, where everyone needs to understand the functionality of conscious and unconscious to arrive to nothing. But yeah, I mean, we're going to go on just with this, because I'm enjoying just being in the presence of now.
That's all it is. Okay. Om Gurum Sadgurnath Maharaj Ki Jai.
And translation? We don't have Google Translate right now.
Oh, that's something Baba said at the end of all of his talks. And it's just all praise, all credit, everything to the Guru. Just keeps the me out of the whole scene, just in case.
I'm going to identify this energy profile as you, because that's that blossoming nitric oxide oxytocin feeling that's pulsing through my heart center.
That's okay. No one's here, so that's fine.
Yeah. You know, that refers me to the last book I transcribed from Lao Tzu called Humility Personified, which is an interesting one. And the question mark is personified what? Well, that's the true nature. You know, humility, there's no room for that. That would be an identity or a virtue. But, you know, your resonance precedes you, my dear friend. There's no question about it.
I really appreciate you inviting me. I think this can help a lot of people.
More than a lot. It's the proof is in the pudding, and this is one big pudding. Beautiful. So I'm going to put your social sphere and interweb under this podcast.
Okay.
I'm going to, in turn, as we have come to the end of the road, I will ask you kindly one last question.
Sure.
What is the definition of spiritual consciousness?
Lordy. Everything just is. It's that simple. Everything just is.
Love it. Over 400 podcasts, never got the same answer. That's why you say tomato, I say tomato. And you know what? It's all gravy, baby. We refer to that as a facet of the diamond of perfection. You are a facet, I'm a facet. And that would return to my diamond is your pot of gold. It's all one. I love that.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
I'm very grateful for you, my friend. And I'm really looking forward to sharing and spreading your teachings and getting as many people as possible to come out and experience what it is that you are emanating. There is a resonance. Okay, there's no words. Okay, I'm sorry, my bad. Resonance is taking place, and people need to experience that, because that heart is, oh my goodness, the love is, it's infectious, as it should be, because that returns you to who you really are, which is nothing. But it's alluring. It's like the carrot and the string. You got to get there somehow.
As I like to say, oneness fills the room.
Amen to that, my brother. Amen to that. And people are like, here at Daoist, what are you saying amen for? Because it's all gravy, baby. It's all one. It's all. And so I want to thank you so much for sharing your time with me today.
Oh, you bet. I'm so glad we could do this.
Yes. And with that, I'm going to thank you. I'm going to thank the universe for bringing you into my life. I'm going to thank the audience for sharing their time with us today.
Indeed.
And I am your humble servant and Sifu, Daoist Master San Qing. And I'll see you on the next one, guys.